Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. So, I have something a little bit different for you guys today. I had somebody in the comments say that they wanted a video on the aspects of music in conjunction with magic, or a spiritual discussion on music, particularly Pythagorean mathematics and musical scales and all of that stuff. So, we're going to get into that a little bit. I didn't really take notes. I kind of just skimmed over a little bit of the chapter, but in The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, I highly recommend this book if you don't own it or if you have never read it. It's a great one to refer back to pretty much forever. There's a lot of information that's covered in this. And there's a chapter called The Pythagorean Theory of Music and Color, so we're going to read a little bit from that. But mostly in this video, I think we learn best from personal experience, so I'm going to talk about my experiences with music. And I kind of write about it a little bit in my book that I'm working on, Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic, which I may end up actually changing the title to Freemasonry, Archangels, and Ceremonial Magic, because I'm going to include a bit about the Archangels in the book as well, just because the archangels go so much in conjunction with the ceremonial magic. When you're you're using exercises such as the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, it's good to know extra details about the archangels, and that's why I'm doing the archangel lore stuff. I've covered pretty extensively the lore on Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael so far, and I'm working on Uriel right now. I have 2 videos. The first video was just really short because it got cut short, so really both are just part 1. I'm working on the notes for that. I have more notes to go over from the book of Raziel, and it's the Sefer Raziel Hamalek, which is a little bit different from the Sefer Raziel Liber Solomonis, I believe it's called, which is the book Liber 420. It talks about the cannabis connections with the book of Raziel, the Liber Solomonis version, which is not the version of the book that I have. It's a different occult document. In these manuscripts, they have official names, but I can't remember the names for them. But anyway, that's some of the future stuff I want to get into. I'm still working on Morals and Dogma as well. So lots of note-taking, and in between, doing that and working on the book and stuff. And I have been playing Elden Ring, so I'm trying to get into that and play a little bit of that when I can. So anyway, so music's always been a big part of my life. Even when I was a baby, my mom went to a concert, and it was a Yes concert. So from the womb there in the beginning, music was already a part. My dad was a drum instructor at a band camp for like 30 years altogether. And he had been there for a while, when I was born, instructing. So I learned a lot about drumming from an early age from him. I even joined band in 5th grade. But it really wasn't until like my sophomore year of high school that's when drumming became more of a passion for me. I started listening to Rush and started learning all the Rush songs on drums. It's around that same time I got into Ayn Rand and her philosophies, objectivism. I wasn't into like any spiritual stuff at the time, even though I had really been surrounded by it my whole life. I was a video gamer, and I played games like the Ocarina of Time, Zelda. And as we know, in those video games, a lot of the video games, there's esoteric knowledge everywhere. And it really wasn't until I had somebody kind of explain it all to me later on, because church had never really made much sense. It wasn't until I had more of a kind of a almost scientific understanding of how source works and the manifestations, and learning about Hermeticism and the Hermetic laws, that it all really started to make sense to me, from more, I guess, of a left brain perspective is the perspective I came from back then. My right brain, the feminine side, has always been channeled mostly into my music. Even as a vocalist, I do vocals and drums, and I really get into it. I feel it. And I was told once that I have the Scorpio magnetism, when I sing. So I thought that was a cool compliment. But anyway, I was in marching band and stuff in high school, which I enjoyed that a lot. But drumming really didn't become a thing for me until sophomore year of high school. Started playing Rush, and then I got into like Sevenfold and metal, so I started doing metal covers. Was in several bands. I've been in so many different side projects and bands and groups. I'd have to sit here and really like write it out and think about it, but was in a metal band called Monster Ignition, did drums for a while and did vocals, so I did all the scream vocals. We did a lot of Sevenfold covers. That was a crazy period of my life. When I was really young, I was a bit crazier back then. I like to think that I'm much more tame now, at the age of 31. I'm really kind of settling down and getting grounded and becoming a lot more comfortable in that. I feel like through the life of music, I've experienced so much that I've really kind of lived that rock star life without really having to have the bullshit of fame and all that stuff. So really, it's kind of like I'm the semi-retired musician now. I don't play too many shows anymore. I'm about to do a show in April. I'm just playing at a little craft show for free, and I'm going to be doing acoustic guitar and vocals for about 2 hours there. So that'll be fun. In my hometown, the private lake that we grew up at, Lake Choctaw. People in town always thought we were rich because we lived out there, but the joke was, no, we're not rich because we live out there, because it's expensive. And we didn't really have a whole lot of extra money. Pretty much all of it went to the house and all that. So continuing on with the music thing, kind of after the metal band and all that, there were several projects in between, but my next main thing was a rock band. Well, really, I played with a country singer, Scott Arnold, bless his soul. He's moved on. He's no longer with us here in the physical world, so I hope that his spirit is at rest. But he used to do country with us, and he would do the country, and Eric, our guitar player, would do the rock songs, and we kind of did both. And then we broke off and formed a rock band called Through the Red. I was with Through the Red for 2 or 3 years, playing shows. Covers of all kinds. We covered all kinds of rock, everything from Beatles to Nirvana to Foo Fighters to Queen, and a little bit of everything. Red Hot Chili Peppers, lots of different bands we covered. It was a fun time. And then it was after that I started kind of getting into jam band stuff. I played with a band called Tim Lewis and the Space Cadet Spunions. We did kind of psychedelic jam band stuff. Family Spirit, same thing. So multiple bands doing that. And then I ended up getting connected with a Grateful Dead tribute band called Terrapin Moon. You can check them out on YouTube. You'll find some shows where I was playing drums with them. I played with those guys for probably about 2 years or so. So Terrapin Moon. Terrapin is in the Terrapin Turtle. And the Grateful Dead's very esoteric too. The whole skull and the logo and stuff. It makes you think of the skull that they use in many ancient mystery schools, and the whole Grateful Dead idea. It is the whole kind of not death and reincarnation, but the death and resurrection thing, coming into a new life. If you were a Grateful Dead fan, about some of the culture and, like the whole bus and the Merry Prankster thing, and there was a lot going on with the Grateful Dead. So if you haven't looked into their history, I highly recommend you do. They even played at Woodstock, but their performance wasn't able to be broadcasted the way that some of the other people were, like Santana. So Grateful Dead's always been big. They've been popular, but not always necessarily mainstream. But their original name was to be called the Warlocks. So really they were like wizards, and pretty much what they did with their music and the whole scene they created, it was like a wizard type thing. The most interesting people I pretty much met and come across in the music world I did when I was, playing for the Grateful Dead tribute group. I met some really interesting characters. I feel like I've kind of seen it all. in many ways. And then I kind of started a semi-solo project, but it's with my friends. I basically sing and play guitar, and I also jump on drums on some songs, and that's called Alternative Experience, and that's kind of been the project for the past 2 years that I've worked mostly on. Now, I have a family and stuff. I have a son, so I don't have as much time to do the music, but music will always be a part of my life. I'm going to pass that on to my son. He's already got the drumsticks in his hand, playing on the bongos and stuff too, so that'll be coming soon. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, I just have that one show coming up in April. I'm going to play some guitar and do some singing, but I just, with everything, work and everything else, and, my studies and the esoteric stuff, it's just, if I try to do too much at once, it gets overwhelming. So I try not to get too overwhelmed and everything. So kind of in a nutshell, that's my story, my personal story with music. If you want to watch any of my music material, you can look up my old drum channel, and I did some vocal stuff on there too. It is called Drummer Boy Smith 2010. You type that all in one word, and it should pop up. It's gonna say, did you mean this, with the words separated, but you say no, you click on Drummer Boy Smith 2010, all one word, and I should pop up. Also, I'm on Facebook as well, so I have a lot of music videos of performances I've played at and stuff on there. I'm not always active on Facebook, so if you want to get a hold of me on there as well, just let me know. Hopefully you can find my YouTube channel, watch some of my older drum covers. I also I did one of my original songs on this YouTube channel as well, We Are Love, and I've posted a couple different drum covers. So yeah, I'm into the esoteric stuff. I'm into magic a lot, but it's not the entirety of my life. And it's the same with music. I love music. It's a huge part of who I am, but it's not everything of who I am. So I have different outlets. There's the ceremonial magic and the esoteric studies and the masonry, and then there's music. So it brings a well-rounded experience to you. When you're fully, enveloped in like your higher will and stuff. I do still work a day job, but luckily I've actually enjoyed a lot of paid vacation lately, so it's been nice to stay home and really work on these studies, and occasionally I'll play video games too. I've been really into Elden Ring, so that's really been my life recently, all of that stuff. I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to about music. I don't know if there was anything else I really wanted to say. Was just telling you how to look up some of my music. I do want to do some YouTube shout outs real quick before I forget. So I'd come across a channel called The Illusion of the Abyss a while ago, and he talks a lot about ceremonial magic on there. It's cool to see all these other people, working towards the great work. They're spreading this information, this knowledge. And he has it in all caps. And of is not spelled O-F, it's spelled O-V. So it's The Illusion of O-V, the Abyss, all caps, if you want to find him. And then he was doing an interview with a guy called, his channel is called Magick Luxor. So it's, Magick, spelled with C-K, M-A-G-I-C-K-A, Magick Luxor, like light, L-U-X-O-R. And I was checking out his channel, and it's super awesome. So he talks about the connection with Crowley and the Beatles, and he gets into all kinds of other things on his channel. I'm going to start, watching more of his material. So go and check those two YouTubers out. I highly recommend you subscribe, check them out. Please do. I'm always, trying to promote other YouTubers and stuff. We're all doing this great work together. It's about spreading the love and the information. I also, I'm kind of at the point with my lesser banishing rituals and stuff. I used to keep a lot of journal entries, but I really don't do that as much anymore. My experiences that I have with the archangels are almost too transcendent to really even put down, in mundane words anymore. So I don't focus on that as much as I used to. I know I even did a video about the Magick journal a long time ago when I first started this channel. But there's a YouTube kind of guided meditation. She doesn't guide you through the whole meditation, but she introduces each archangel and then has their kind of energy go away. It comes in and then it goes away. And you can feel this energy shift. I highly recommend this video. It's called Archangels Sitting with 4 Archangels Guided Meditation. And the YouTube channel is Guided Meditations by Lisa Beachy. Beach as in the same way you would spell beach. Beachy. So yeah, that video was very powerful. And I think some of the experiences we have with the archangels, during our personal meditations are so profound. We don't always have to try and explain it. It's really kind of meant for us. It's our spirit tuning in to the whole, the whole cosmos, the entirety of source of which we are, going all the way to the Ein, the AIN, the no thing, which is in fact the potentiality of all things. They say in the negative matter or the void or the no space, there's really more energy than all the manifested cosmos. So within the Ein is all potentiality, all potential manifestation, that primal raw energy, which we all come from. Yet is sovereign as well as in the Ein also exists outside of creation as well. So it's interesting to study different Kabbalist perspectives on that, and I'm still learning all that stuff. I'm still learning. I'm still, in my opinion, still a beginner. I'm still like a neophyte, essentially. I just have a lot of love for this stuff, and I want to see other people succeed, and I've just been blessed with such a great life. Music especially is one of the things that, this book is reflecting the light of the lamp and shining it on my face. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I've just been blessed with such a great experience. Really, I think what I've learned, the secret to all this esoteric stuff is too, because I used to beat myself up if I didn't do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram every day. If I didn't stay on top of all my exercises and all those things, I would just get so frustrated with myself. And lately, it's just been nice to let it go. It's like, you once you're on this path for so long, we just hit 1733, that was cool. Source is just connected with you. You're so connected to Source. Source understands that you've been trying, so hard on this path. Oh, I'm gonna have to plug this laptop in. I want to keep my tones going. I like having little tones in the background. But, it's okay if, you have other, obligations and stuff in life. There's other things. We can't always have the time set aside that we want to. So it actually feels good to let go of that sometimes. Be easy on yourself. Don't push yourself too much. Even though magic is about, completing the great work in one lifetime, I don't really think there's per se so much a rush. I think as long as we're working with divine source, we know that we are in alignment with our true will. Everything's going to be all right. Just treat others the way you want to be treated. Realize where your place is in life, where the Spirit has brought you and what you are meant to do, and follow your heart. And I think it's really just as simple as that. We want to connect to the Tiphareth center, the Tiphareth center. So as long as you're connecting with that solar aspect of yourself and you're moving forward in life and you're connected with Source, the magic stuff is just a tool, in the end. The divine science of Source is really beyond what I think we're going to be able to comprehend in this human form, but yet it's something we're connected to, and it's a journey that we're along. So we should really just learn to appreciate what it is, what we have here and now, and be grateful. And I'm not saying not to evolve and expand. We should always be learning and growing, but also content, at all times too. It's this balance. It's always a balance. So my friend also got me this Scorpio necklace too, this little gold chain thing. I love it. It's brought some really good energy and stuff. I kind of blessed it and consecrated it it's been almost a week ago. I've been wearing it for a while now. Great stuff. So yeah, now that I've rambled on long enough for 20 minutes or so, let's get into some actual musical studies. Of course, we know, there's 7 notes in the musical scale, the 7 chakras. Has a lot to do with harmony. It says right here, harmony is a state recognized by great philosophers as the immediate prerequisite of beauty. A compound is termed beautiful only when its parts are in harmonious combination. The world is called beautiful, and its creator is designated the good, because good perforce, not familiar with that word, Perforce, must act in conformity with its own nature, and good acting according to its own nature is harmony, because the good which it accomplishes is harmonious with the good which it is. Beauty, therefore, is harmony manifesting its own intrinsic nature in the world of form. Really just learning how to align yourself geometrically and vibrationally with the cosmos itself. And get into the 430, I think it's 432 hertz is what a lot of artists, the frequency or the resonance at what a lot of their songs were, like John Lennon and stuff. And we know John Lennon had a connection with the OTO, and I think even Sting as well. And Jimi Hendrix's music too, maybe, was at 432 hertz, but most music today is at 440 hertz. That's typically what I will tune my guitar at, is 440 hertz, just because I play a lot of pop type stuff, and it seems to sound more like the original that way. But especially for some of my originals and some more of my spiritual type music, I've tuned to 432 hertz, and I find that to be, it sounds kind of cool. I like it. I don't ever really have a bad experience with tuning it to 432. So, and I listen to all these tones on the laptop that are usually 432. This one's 528 hertz. Also, if you want to learn more about Pythagorean mathematics, geometry, music, and all those things, there's a Donald Duck, wow, my voice just cracked, a Donald Duck video on YouTube that you can check out. It's Disney. It's an old Disney thing from maybe the 50s or something like that. It's really good, though, and it's super esoteric. I kind of wish they'd make more stuff like that. Fantasia, too, Mickey Mouse. He wears the wizard's hat, which has it's a blue hat with white stripes on it. And the magician's robe, used to be kind of symbolized in the Egyptian temple, I believe, with blue robes. There's a lot of connections going on, Masonic, magical stuff, and even Mickey Mouse, Disney, all that. That's a whole different topic. We're not going to get into that today. So really he's just talking about good and evil and the harmony, but we know that harmony is an important part of music. The philosophy of music. It is highly probable that the Greek initiates gained their knowledge of the philosophic and therapeutic aspects of music from the Egyptians, who in turn considered Hermes the founder of the art. And it's important to remember that, when the Bible was being written and all that stuff, and even ancient Egypt, the Sumerians were even more ancient. This is kind of going off topic, but I was watching a Damien Eccles video on the Nephilim and who the Nephilim really are. And the whole misunderstanding about them being literal giants and more just their prowess and their magical powers are, powerful. They were men of renown, the Nephilim and the Watchers. The Nephilim were the offspring of the Watchers, who were these fallen angels. But Damien says the Watchers are key to all magic, so that's something I kind of want to get into as well. It made me think of that watching the Damien Eccles. Check out the Damien Eccles video, Nephilim, if you haven't watched that. I want to take some more notes from that video, personally. According to one legend, this god Hermes constructed the first lyre by stretching strings across the concavity of a turtle shell. Interesting. Both Isis and Osiris were patrons of music and poetry. Plato, in describing the antiquity of these arts among the Egyptians, declared that songs and poetry had existed in Egypt for at least 10,000 years, and that these were of such an exalted and inspiring nature that only gods or godlike men could have composed them. That's the thing, even people like Mozart, I think are really channeled by the spirit. And we know Mozart was a Freemason too. It's interesting how all this works its way. Oh yeah, the 7 planets too. So the notes would be attributed to the 7 planets as well. I'd be curious to know which note goes with which planet. I'm going to read this little caption here. The intervals and harmonies of the spheres. In Pythagorean concept of the music of the spheres, the interval between the earth and the sphere of the fixed stars was considered to be a diapason, the most perfect harmonic interval. So the interval between the earth and the sphere of the fixed stars was considered to be the most perfect harmonic interval. The following arrangement is most generally accepted for the musical intervals of the planets between the earth and the sphere of the fixed stars. From the sphere of the earth to the sphere of the moon, 1 tone. From the sphere of the moon to that of Mercury, 1/2 tone. From Mercury to Venus, 1/2 tone. From Venus to the Sun, 1 1/2 tones. From the Sun to Mars, 1 tone. From Mars to Jupiter, 1/2 tone. So working your way up the planets, ascending through the spheres. From Jupiter to Saturn, 1/2 tone. From Saturn to the fixed stars, 1/2 tone. The sum of these intervals equals the 6 whole tones of the octave. Interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna skip around this chapter, the Pythagorean theory of music and color. We won't get into color as much. We'll just focus on the music part. But as we know with the color spectrum, you should study the symbolism of the colors and how they work with the Sephiroth and how they work with the chakra system as well, and how they are, symbolic of the planets as well. You could probably figure out, the corresponding colors. I'm sure the lowest note in the scale starts with red and it works its way up to white or violet, however you see the crown chakra. Yeah, here's a little chart. Violet, ether, states of matter, and then indigo is the higher manas or spiritual intelligence critical state called air. So yeah, we'll stay on the subject of music. If you want to read The Secret Teachings of All Ages, the whole book is free, I think on sacredtexts.com. And I'm sure there's plenty of other websites that you can get like a PDF at least of The Secret Teachings of All Ages, but for sure it's free on Sacred Texts, I'm pretty sure. And then you can just go into the table of contents section and then find the chapter called The Pythagorean Theory of Music and Color if you want to read this whole chapter for yourself, because we are just going to hit certain parts. Pythagoras thereupon discovered that the first and fourth strings, when sounded together, produced the harmonic interval of the octave, for doubling the weight had the same effect as halving the string. The tension of the first string being twice that of the fourth string, their ratio is said to be 2-1 or duple. By similar experimentation, he ascertained that the first and third string produce the harmony of the diapentine, or the interval of the fifth. The tension of the first string being half again as much as that of the third string, their ratio is said to be 3-2 or sesquiliter. Not sure how to pronounce that. Sesquilter? Likewise, the second and fourth strings, having the same ratio as the first and third strings, yielded a diapente harmony. Continuing his investigation, Pythagoras discovered that the first and second strings produced the harmony of the diatessaron, or the interval of the third, and the tension of the first string being a third greater than that of the second string. Their ratio is said to be 4-3, or sesquitertian. Sorry. Gosh, a lot of words I'd have to look up. This is a pretty technical chapter. The music. Pythagoras really got technical with this stuff. Dude was a genius. And some say he wasn't really human. He was some kind of ascended master. His name even has a lot of correlation with, like the serpent, Pythagoras. The key to harmonic ratios is hidden in the famous Pythagorean tetrax, a pyramid of dots. The tetrax is made up of the first four numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, which in their proportions reveal the intervals of the octave, the diapent and the diatessaron. See, I'm going to find like a different section to probably read. So I highly recommend looking into this, yourselves, this chapter, and really studying it if you want to dig deeper into this. And that whole section about, he's figuring out, by doing these different things like having the string and all of these, it makes me think of the whole, like, in masonry we have the whole symbolism of like the rough stone and the smooth stone. Initiation and stuff into whatever mystery school it is, it's like the sculpting of yourself, and it's like the fine tuning, of, tuning these instruments and making it harmonious. And what was the word they used in the beginning? Beauty, but it was talking about the harmonious combinations, taking the right part of ourselves. It's all about alchemy, and transmuting ourselves, and music is like another medium through which we can learn, this science and kind of apply it. I don't know much music theory because the guitar that I play is mostly just your basic chords. I know about 9 or 10 chords on the guitar. Most of my musical knowledge is in rhythm. But I do know how to use chords and make simple songs, but nothing, I'm not super technical. Drumming, I'm a bit more technical. I've been a drummer, since I was, 5th grade, and then drum set I started playing sophomore year. Guitar, I didn't start as much until like 2 years ago. Singing I've been doing for a long time, but I haven't really gained prowess as a singer until like maybe the past 3 years, I'd say. I've really come a long way as a vocalist, I think, in the past 3 years, from where I was, learning how to sing properly. And so Pythagoras, it looks like he's also going to get into the music of the spheres in this, which I'll read just a little bit more of this book. I'm not going to read too much more just because it is super, it seems pretty technical, and you might want to read the whole chapter so you can get all the little tidbits of information. It seems pretty accumulative type knowledge. But the music of the spheres, I had a moment where I felt like I could hear the music of the spheres. I was out in the woods, and it was kind of like this music that's playing in the background, if you can hear it. This is 528 hertz, self-love activation. But it almost sounded kind of like this. It was real calm, and it was this pretty much like celestial sounds, basically. And I think that was the music of the spheres. I was able to tap into it. At that moment in time, that day, my spirit, my essence was in just the right place to be attuned, to really align myself with those energies. Excuse me, I felt that sneeze coming on. My buddy always said if you sneeze, it means somebody's talking about you, so I wonder what that's all about. The Greek initiates also recognized a fundamental relationship between the individual heavens or spheres of the 7 planets and the 7 sacred vows. So now we're getting into, sacred god names and such, and the vows and all that stuff, the Hebrew words of power. Video games like Skyrim really took that to the next level with like the Skyrim shouts, the power of the voice. You could literally tear people apart with your voice, which is really the power of the logos, the primordial word. The first heaven uttered the sound of the sacred vowel A, alpha. The second heaven, the sacred vowel E, epsilon. The third, H, eta, eta. The fourth, I, iota. The fifth, O, omicron. The sixth, upsilon. And the seventh heaven, the sacred vowel, omega. When the seven heavens sing together, they produce a perfect harmony which ascends as an everlasting praise to the throne of the Creator. Which, that's kind of in that energetic alignment that we get in when we're doing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. You're aligned, the hexagrams above and below you. It's almost like this heavenly, temple that you're a part of, and you're there with the archangels, but you're also here on earth. It's all one connected thing. And that's what they're talking about, which ascends as an everlasting praise to the throne of the Creator. You're kind of in that zone, and you may be able to tap into the music of the spheres. Although not so stated, it is probable that the planetary heavens are to be considered as ascending in the Pythagorean order, beginning with the sphere of the moon, which would be the first heaven. Many early instruments had 7 strings, and it is generally conceded that Pythagoras was the one who added the 8th string to the lyre of Terpander. The 7 strings were always related both to their correspondences in the human body and to the planet, so the human body as well. The names of God were also conceived to be formed from combinations of the 7 planetary harmonies. The Egyptians confirmed their sacred songs to the 7 primary sounds, forbidding any others to be uttered in their temples. One of their hymns contained the following invocation: the 7 sounding tones praise thee, the great God, the ceaseless working Father of the whole universe. In another, the deity described himself thus: I am the great indestructible lyre of the whole world, attuning the songs of the heavens. This is an interesting part too. The Pythagoreans believed that everything which existed had a voice, and that all creatures were eternally singing the praise of the Creator. Man fails to hear these divine melodies because his soul is enmeshed in the illusion of material existence. When he liberates himself from the bondage of the lower world with its sense limitations, or Maya, as the Aztecs, I believe, refer to it, the music of the spheres will again be audible as it was in the Golden Age. Harmony recognizes harmony, and when the human soul regains its true estate, it will not only hear the celestial choir, but also join with it in an everlasting anthem of praise to that eternal good controlling the infinite number of parts and conditions of being. Interesting. Well, this is cool too. This will be the last the last paragraph, I think. Of course, we know that in initiation chambers they used, certain acoustics and certain ways to get we just hit 37, that was cool. Different chamber aspects to get the right acoustics, for the music to come across and flow across the right times. The Greek mysteries included in their doctrines a magnificent concept of the relationship existing between music and form. The elements of architecture, for example, were considered as comparable to musical modes and notes, or as having a musical counterpart. Consequently, when a building was erected in which a number of those elements were combined, the structure was then likened to a musical chord, which was harmonic only when it fully satisfied the mathematical requirements of harmonic intervals. The realization of this analogy between sound and form led Goethe to declare that architecture is crystallized music. So there you go. That's pretty cool too. So I think that's it for this video. We're almost to about 40 minutes now. I may decide to do another one yet today. I'm not totally sure, but I think for now, I'm going to give my voice a little break, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy, most material, if not all, the material that I put on here. I just want to share some of myself and who I am, and share this information, with this time that I have left here on Earth, in this physical experience. But what you and I are, my friends, we are eternal, and we're not really going anywhere. We never have gone anywhere, per se. Even the, ascension through different modes or spheres of existence, it's just a change in frequency. We're just shifting through the eternal journey. So, love you all. Peace and blessings. I shall see you soon. And until next time, peace and love.